Hi, my name is Lindsey and I am a life and executive coach who specialises in working with professional women who are secretly struggling with imposter syndrome to help empower them to feel genuinely confident in their unique abilities and experiences. A topic we sometimes cover is around time management and planning workloads. Today, I want to share some top tips that I have suggested and have worked for my clients. So to start with, some scene setting. You may know everything that is in this session because what I'm covering isn't anything potentially new. These are ideas that have been out there for a long time. But I would suggest you be open-minded to trying things. There is a difference between knowing something on an intellectual basis and doing something. Okay, when you experience something for yourself, you actually work out if it actually is going to work for you. So to that point, pick a mix, select the techniques that resonate with you the most and try them. Concentrate on one or two ideas to implement, and once you've embedded these, you can then maybe try some other ones to keep improving your productivity and effectiveness. Remember, if you can change or improve by just 1% a day, in just over 3 months, you will have changed or improved by 100%. So we will start by looking at some time management techniques. Before that, I want to ask you a couple of questions. So where are you currently spending your time? How are you organising your day? What do you spend the most time doing? Do you multitask? The reason I ask this is we don't know how to make changes if we don't know where we are to begin with. So a few ideas to try. Keep a time tracker of what you do and how much time you spend on things during the day. You can then review this and see if there are any surprises. Maybe do this over a couple of days or up to a week. This isn't meant to be onerous, so maybe just like a little tally chart. Okay, but it is to basically answer those questions up above to identify exactly where you're currently spending your time and how you're organising your day. You might find some surprises in there in terms of how much time you're spending on doing things. You might find that you become distracted from tasks during the day. Maybe where you're sat in the office, people come and interrupt you on a constant basis. Maybe you find yourself checking your emails every time you see a notification. Once you've got your baseline though, you can then start to see, are there things you could group together or do in a different way to make more efficient use of your time? So in terms of the emails, for example, maybe you could commit to just checking your emails every couple of hours, twice a day, maybe every hour if you need to. But whereas you're checking them as they're coming in currently, that means you're interrupting yourself on a consistent basis. It means that you actually allow yourself 5 minutes of time once an hour to check your emails instead. Next idea to try is the Pomodoro technique. Okay, and this is basically where you would set yourself a timer for between 20 and 30 minutes. In that time, you only focus on one task. So you turn off your emails, you move your mobile away, you give yourself the right environment to concentrate on the one task that you need to do. When the timer goes off, have a 5-minute break, maybe stretch, get a cup of tea, just move away from your environment for a few minutes. Then come back and set the timer again for another 20 to 30 minutes and work solidly on the task during that time. You can rinse and repeat this as many times as you want to. It's suggested maybe another 2 cycles and then take a slightly longer break. But what I tend to also find with clients is sometimes it's then adapting this. So for some individuals, they find it easier to work for longer periods of time. For others, sometimes just setting a timer for 5 minutes and knowing that all you have to do is work on something for 5 minutes, and then if you're still not feeling it, so it's a great way to get over procrastination, if you're still not feeling it after 5 minutes, you can stop, but you've done something for 5 minutes. We'll now move on to prioritising your workloads, and I've got 3 ideas for you here. First is to plan your day the night before or plan your week on a Friday night. So before you leave the office or your working environment, spend 10 minutes working through the tasks you need to complete the next day or the next week. Create a timed plan for all activities, even allocating time in your calendar to actually work on things. Maybe allow some overrun time, and then if it's not needed, you can use that time for doing some admin tasks or checking your emails. Beware of Parkinson's law, which states that work expands to fill the time you allot to it. So you've probably got examples of this where you've got an impending deadline and you've got half an hour to do something. It's amazing what you can do in that half an hour. However, if you gave yourself 2 hours, you would fill that time doing the task. So be realistic in terms of timescales to do the work, but try and stick to whatever timescale you've given, remembering that done is often better than perfect. The next way to prioritise your workload is eat the frog, and this is from Brian Tracy's book of the same name, and suggests you do the most important task on your to-do list first. Okay, we often tend to get into that habit of, if you've got 10 things on your to-do list, you do the 9 little things first because you feel like you've done a lot and you've ticked them all off. Then you get to the 10th item, which is the biggest and most important item. However, you've not got time to do it. But you have been busy with being busy rather than busy being productive. Okay, set yourself a time limit for doing the work. Again, so it comes back to sort of that planning of your day. You will feel more accomplished though if you complete a task that you know is important, and action breeds action, so you actually end up feeling more productive for the rest of the day. And then the final thing to cover off is review and categorise your tasks. And this is very much again linked to these other two, where we tend to always do the urgent and important tasks first, but once they're completed, what do you then concentrate your time on? And what we often find is we then go into the procrastination mode. So maybe we are doing the not important things. Sometimes we end up in the not urgent, not important because we're busy being busy. So if we put the eat the frog concept in here, what actually we should be concentrating on next is probably the important, not urgent, because they're the things that are important. They have to actually be done and therefore are long-term success. If we don't do them, chances are they'll end up moving into important and urgent anyway. So if we can prioritise our tasks into urgent, important, not urgent, important, not important, urgent, and not important, not urgent, we can then start to get a real feel for the work that we have to be doing because it's time bound, the work we should be doing, the frog tasks, and maybe the things that we can then delegate, we can give to somebody else to do because they're not actually that important to us, or the things that we just don't need to spend any time doing at all, we can just take off our to-do list totally. We often find that we focus on things where people are shouting, so that kind of urgent section. But by understanding what our own priorities are in terms of what has to be done for our roles, we're taking control and we're working to our agenda, what we need to do, rather than someone else's demands constantly. Now got a few additional ideas to try that kind of will help hopefully in terms of how you manage your time and your work and priorities. So the first is set an intention for your day. Think about the one thing that you need to complete and then write that down at the start of each day. And that helps keep your mind focused on actually making sure you achieve that one thing each and every day. Next thing is the 10 by 10 by 10 rule by Susie Welsh. And basically you need to ask yourself, so we spend a lot of time actually with the decision making and having to spend time on making decisions. So ask yourself, how will you feel about a decision in 10 minutes, 10 months and 10 years from now? Okay, this helps you make the small and medium-sized decisions quickly, and what you can then spend your time on just the bigger decisions, so the ones that are actually going to matter in 10 months and 10 years from now. The next thing idea to try is the 2-minute rule by David Allen. So he suggests if something can be done in 2 minutes, do it. So some examples might be responding to an email, updating a colleague, scheduling a meeting, completing some filing. If something will take more than 2 minutes, but you have 2 minutes right at the moment, start it now. So it could be that you write the first 50 words of a report, you start writing your to-do list, you set the headings in a spreadsheet. It's about keeping that momentum. So if you find that you have 2 minutes, use that 2 minutes in a productive way to move something forward. And the fourth idea to try is Pareto's law, and that is 20% of your effort will generate 80% of your results. So conversely, 80% of your effort will only generate 20% of your results. You need to identify where you need to be putting your efforts to get the best results, which comes back to knowing what tasks are really important to you, knowing the ones that you have to get done, identifying these and then prioritising them so you get the results that you want and you focus your efforts on these. So which 2 techniques do you commit to try over the next week? How are you going to measure your success? Thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully I've given you lots of ideas in terms of different ways to manage your time, prioritise your workloads and increase your productivity. I would love to hear your thoughts on this and any successes that you've had. Please feel free to reach out to me on my email, which is lindsey@lindseyhood.net. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now.